Good afternoon, Rock Hill staff. Thank you for joining me this afternoon for our in-service. I wanted to discuss cyberbullying with you before I make my way into the 5th grade classrooms next week. We are preparing to send them off to the junior senior high in August. And as we know, 6th grade is a time when students tend to be getting phones and they will be able to take their school iPads home. So I think it is very important that we take the time now to be proactive and discuss with them cyberbullying, the effects, and how they can stand up against it. Today, I plan on talking about what is cyberbullying, along with providing you specific examples. I want to discuss who is affected by cyberbullying, where does it take place, and the long-term effects. I want to end our in-service today by discussing the elements of an effective school policy and comparing that with our current district policy. And then I want to leave open room for discussion about a recommended district policy. So let's get started with what is cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is the act of intimidating, threatening, and or bullying through electronic technology. Unfortunately, unlike the traditional bullying that we are used to, cyberbullying usually comes with a large audience. I am showing you a statistic here discussing and showing the different levels of reported cyberbullying, and you can see that 61% of the reported cyberbullying is based off of students' appearance, and the lowest is religion at 11%. A few specific examples of cyberbullying would be rumors, gossip, defaming, humiliating, and then embarrassing or humiliating pictures and or videos that are posted without consent of the main person. I am showing you here another graphic showing you the statistics of the types of harassment that users experience. 53% say any harassment, and then the next one under that is 41% say that their harassment is coming from name calling. So the top 10 forms of cyberbullying. Number 1 is exclusion, and that is when students or groups of students are excluded from online activities such as conversations. And sometimes the kids who don't have the latest phone are also more prone to that exclusion. Number 2 is harassment, and that is sustained and intentional bullying, which comes through as abusive or threatening messages, and that affects the student's mental well-being. Number 3, outing. Publicly humiliating a child or a group of children by posting private information without their consent. Again, this would be like reading private messages out loud. Number 4 is cyber stalking. This is a very dangerous form of cyberbullying, as it is adults who use it to contact young people for abusive purposes. Number 5 is frapping, and that is when somebody logs into a student or child's account, specifically their social media, and impersonates them. And we all know that the things that we post, even if we delete it, they are never truly gone. Number 6 would be fake profiles, and that is created by somebody to hide their true identity, so they have the intention and the ability to cyberbully others. Number 7 is dissing, and that is sending or posting cruel information about a child online to damage their reputation or to damage their friendships. And examples of this would be posting damaging photos, humiliating videos, or screenshots of personal conversations that were meant to stay between the people that were having the conversation. Number 8 is trickery, and that is when somebody gains a child's trust in order to learn their secrets and then be able to share those secrets publicly online. Number 9 is trolling, and that is when they are deliberately provoking a response through repeated insults about anything just in order to get a reaction. And then number 10 is catfishing, and that is stealing somebody's online identity and recreating a social networking profile for deceptive purposes, like creating a fake persona. So let's talk about this. Who is affected by cyberbullying? Most generally, students, teenagers, preteens, and even adults are affected by cyberbullying. I wanted to note in here that kids without the latest technology, again, are more prone to be excluded, but also girls are 2 times as likely as boys to be victims of cyberbullying. Where does cyberbullying take place? Social media for the most part. 56% of students who say that they have been harassed say that it is happening on Facebook. Also, cyberbullying takes place through group texts, emails, chat rooms, and then the numerous apps that are out there that our students use. Here is showing you the cyberbullying on social media. So we see Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, we see the WhatsApp, YouTube, and then Twitter is our lowest. But I think that's probably just prone to Twitter not being as big of a network as it was 5 to 10 years ago. So what are the effects that we're going to see on our students who are affected by cyberbullying? We're going to see bouts of depression, low self-esteem. They're going to be mentally traumatized. And when they have that depression and that low self-esteem, when they are being sought after day to bully, that is actually going to overall affect their health. We might see students who become bullies themselves. You know, we tell our kids, hurt people, hurt people. If our students are hurt, they're going to look for other people to hurt. We might see an increase in truancy, kids skipping school. They might not be able to focus well in school, and unfortunately, some students feel like the only way out of cyberbullying or bullying in general is through suicide. So again, here we're just showing the impact of cyberbullying. You know, 41% of people who were cyberbullied developed some social anxiety. They could develop depression, have suicidal thoughts, and then we do see that tendency to abuse drugs or alcohol in there as well. So now I want to move on to the recommended 6 primary elements of effective school policy. The first one being that we have specific definitions of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. The second is graduating consequences and remedial actions. Number 3, is procedures for reporting. Number 4, procedures for investigating. Number 5 is language specifying students' off-campus behavior. And number 6 is procedures for preventing cyberbullying. So I have a presentation to give to the 5th grade, and I tell them, like, you have your freedom of speech. That's not something that I can take away from you. Nobody can take that away from you. But I do express to them that there are consequences for the words that they choose to use, whether those consequences are positive or negative. So our district policy says that hazing, harassment, intimidation, bullying, menacing, that we are committed to providing a positive and productive learning and working environment, and that those hazing, harassment, intimidation, menacing, or bullying is strictly prohibited and should not be tolerated by the district. And then it states, you know, if we witness the bullying, we're required to report it to administration. And then it goes in and it defines that as an intentional gesture or a threat, creating an intimidating environment for a student or a staff member. I am going to pose that we have a change in our policy. I believe that our policy needs to update the definitions of bullying, harassment, and intimidation while also including the definition of cyberbullying. I believe that we need to update our handbooks as to how bullying and or cyberbullying will be handled at each level. And I believe that cyberbullying that happens off of the campus but impacts the learning environment will be taken care of by USD 107. And then I'm putting in here this quote that punishment might make us feel better or safer, but other options can yield actual results. You know, we are currently trying to change our classroom management and the way that we get desired behaviors from kids. And we know that we can't just punish them. You can only take away so many recesses. You can only do so many lunch detentions. But if we can teach them the proper ways to acknowledge cyberbullying, the proper ways to handle cyberbullying, maybe, just maybe, we can actually get some results. So right now, what can we do? The areas that we can focus on now. We can inform our students what cyberbullying is, and I am taking care of that next week with 5th grade. We can teach students the 10 ways that they will be able to stand up to cyberbullying. We can review our electronic policy, covering iPads, cell phones, and the computer usage. Feel free to email me, come talk to me, let me know of any changes you think that we should make, and then tell me why. Don't just say, hey, I think we should change this. Say, I think we should change this because of X, Y, and Z. I want you to keep in mind that according to the U.S. Department of Education in 2019, schools that did not allow cell phones and had a very strict policy, they indicated a higher percentage of principal-reported daily and weekly cyberbullying. The United States is among the top 3 countries in the world with the most prevalent cyberbullying. I want us to really change that here at Rock Hills. And I know that the great staff that I have, and I know how much you guys care for these kids, I know that this is something that we will be able to do. Thank you for your time.